Hi, I'm Jason Baldwin, and this is Basics with Jason. Today, I'm driving out to Ward Cove to buy some sockeye at Fish from Trish. Access to fresh seafood is essential to fully experiencing the Southeast, and Trish does a great job of sourcing seafood if you don't have access to a boat or you can't be bothered to get out on yours. They have a great selection of fresh and frozen products. I grabbed a fillet to try with the new technique I've been working on. I also picked up a pound of clams for tomorrow. Let's head back to the kitchen and I'll show you an old way and a new way of adding heat to salmon to make something delicious. Ketchikan loves salmon, and that means they don't often season their catch very heavily. We're going to keep with that tradition today, but don't be surprised if I try something new in future episodes. This is a great way to cook salmon, but it's not the only way. Let me show you one of my favorite ways to change up how I cook salmon. It's a good looking piece of fish. The first thing we're going to do is cut this beautiful fillet down into about 1.5 inch size cubes. Just make sure that they're even so that when we skewer them and we cook them, they all come out at about the same time. You want to make sure that you still have your skin on, because that's what's going to hold it onto the skewer. I like going through the flesh and then through the skin, and it just seems to make the process a little bit less dangerous because these skewers can be really sharp. I'm going to try to get the bigger chunks onto the same skewer, and then we'll get the thin belly side onto a different skewer so they don't overcook. Once we get these on the skewers, we're just going to grab a couple of things from around the pantry to make a little brushing oil to put on top of the salmon. We aren't going to season it too much though. So just a little bit of cracked pepper into a little bowl. A couple of pinches of salt, maybe a few, because some of this is going to fall off. Some olive oil, and a brush. So I've turned the broiler to high, and we're going to take a high rim pan, take the salmon that we've put on the skewers, and rest it on the edge of the high rim pan. You want to scoop the salmon in from the edges so it's not sticking to the pan, and you want to do that with both or as many skewers as you have. And then we're going to take that olive oil, salt, and pepper concoction and just brush it onto the salmon. It's going to spin around. It's going to be fine because of all that skin that we left on there. And hopefully we get some nice crispy edges and a really well seasoned piece of fish. You don't want to do this beforehand because then it becomes almost impossible to get the fish onto the skewers. So you want to get it as dry as possible before you put it on the skewers, and then you want to put the oil on. Nobody wants to slip around and figure out that they're on the menu as well. So I've been in Ketchikan for 8 years or so, and I kept seeing salmon prepared the same way, and I was just started wondering what is something else I can do to make the experience at least different. And I wanted to grill salmon, but it was the middle of winter when I started to realize that I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I began to think, what can I do to get high heat onto salmon without creating that steam that happens when you place a salmon on a cookie sheet? So I figured raise it up, put it on a broiler, get it close to the heat, and see if I could get some like crispy, nice skin and keep the moisture inside at the same time. And I think I've done that with this, but we'll see what happens when I put it in the oven. So you want to get the broiler as hot as you can, and you want to get the salmon as close as you can, because you want to render the fat really, really quickly, and you want to lock all the moisture, all the water that's inside the salmon in there. You're kind of going to be creating a little bit of a crust, but really you're just trying to get the fat as hot as possible, as quick as possible. Okay, let's check this. Yeah. So you just want to pull these out, take a look at them. If you can turn them over, you want to. Just want to flip them over. And you can kind of see that one side's a little bit crusty and the other side's a little bit pink. And if you can manage it, you want to flip them over, but they're a little bit off balance most of the time, so don't worry about it if you can't. I'm gonna put the big pieces back in, but I'm gonna pull the small pieces. We pulled the little pieces out. I'm gonna grab the big pieces. They got a little bit going on that side, but we can't leave them in there too long. These are all ready to go now. They're perfect to slide on to a plate of rice or to plate up for a party, like little hors d'oeuvres in 7 minutes. Super quick, super simple. Let's pack it up and take it out to a place that I like to go have a snack. Plating this salmon can be as simple as putting it onto a bed of rice with a few condiments. I pulled these out of the fridge. This dish won't leak on you, and with the protein, you'll stay full until dinner. While eating this batch, I realized that the fat content in sockeye is a little low for how long I cook these nuggets. King and silver can use a turn, but if you do this with sockeye at home, make sure to pull it out of the oven right as the tips start to brown. I hope this technique encourages you to try new ways of cooking salmon. There are so many fish out there, and we need as many ways of cooking fish as there are fish in the sea.